So catching the knife is very, or can be very difficult, but it's, I think it's possible, and I don't really, I'm just going to tell you how I do it, and maybe it works for other people, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It'd be interesting to hear if other people do it like this or not. And I don't think I'm like going to give away any secret alpha or anything, so I'm not too worried about sharing it. But of course, who knows? Maybe I'll change my mind at a later date, put the video private, but I doubt it. But I just want to talk about it because like I did it here, and if you do it properly, it can be quite lucrative, especially in crypto, because crypto is very volatile, and if you can take advantage of the extremes, um, you can utilize a lot of leverage, and you can do quite well as long as you're incredibly disciplined. You take profits, and you know how to get out fast if things go against you. And of course, you're using proper risk management. You're not utilizing your entire account or anything like that. So, and the reason I want to talk about this is because we just had a huge sell-off. So, if we look at Bitcoin here, I'll hide my drawings, but so this whole thing here, this is 7.5% right there. That was from just this weekend, Sunday. So this is Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday. And so Sunday night, the CME opened. It's or Sunday night if you're on the East Coast of the United States, it opened Sunday night around 6, and we had a big sell-off. We had a sell-off in the NASDAQ right here. So this started right at 1800 or 6 o'clock at night. So you see this whole big sell-off, and this is like complete capitulation. This is on the 15-minute. If we go to the 5-minute, I mean, this is complete so we opened down, complete capitulation, all the way down to 27.62, and then so it bottomed out at 5:50 in the morning, so 6 a.m. in the morning, East Coast time. So New York time, right? So that's New York time, United States. So if you can catch these types of moves, now I didn't do this on the NASDAQ. I'm going to tell you how I did it, but this type of panic selling, that whole old famous line by Warren Buffett, buy when there's blood in the streets. This is what blood in the streets looks like. Okay, so like now obviously, time frames matter here. We're talking about like 5-15 minute charts. So this is day trading time frames. So this is not something that maybe you would want to, like, obviously you could hold it till now, but we don't know what the future is going to hold, and this could go down further. The point is you want to capture this here and then ride it up and then take profits here or something like that. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about like, putting in a big position here and then just waiting for it to go all the way up, because it could just fall off a cliff again. We don't know. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. But I just want to see, like, you don't see this type of behavior in TradFi frequently. Like the last time we saw this was in August, when the Nikkei fell off a cliff in Japan because of the central bank hiked rates, and that led to a whole bunch of different the carry trade unwind, as they say. So like that was the last time. This doesn't, so every 6 months maybe this happens, but I don't know. This was an exciting time to be watching the markets last night, or I'm recording this on Tuesday, so Sunday night. So and just for context, I'm sure everybody who's watching this knows, but like just for context, this was the Deepseek thing, right? So Deepseek came out and made a bunch of Wall Street people question just how much money needed to be poured into the big NASDAQ names, specifically NVIDIA, right? This is all about like, can we train these things? Can we train AI LLMs for a lot cheaper than what Silicon Valley is selling us, and this is them reevaluate. This is a reevaluation of the terms. So it's fun to watch. It also like highlights just how different Silicon Valley and Wall Street are. Like Wall Street fundamentally at their core, their analysis, they don't like fully understand AI. I mean, I don't think anybody fully understands it, but like in Silicon Valley, people, the attitude's more like, well, that's cool what the Chinese did, but ultimately it's not really going to change anything. And in Wall Street, it's like, oh my God, the breakthroughs in Deepseek are algorithmic and mathematical, and they used cheaper chips. And so like they could train something for pennies on the dollar, more or less. I don't know. So I don't like fundamentally think that changes the market, but I could be wrong. But this is a Wall Street panic, and it's just interesting to see. So obviously this rippled out over to Bitcoin. If we go down to 15 minutes. So here, this is So it started 740, 545, and then continued all the way down. And Bitcoin bottomed a lot sooner than the NASDAQ, right? So bottomed at 2. So when we're looking to buy something like this, like how do we do that, And we also have to have like a plan for something like this. Like, what are we going to buy, I was watching the chart this weekend, and you start to see this type of behavior, where it starts to like, and this has been happening since the ETF, is the weekends are quite slow, and so this is Friday and then Saturday, and then it started Sunday night, but most of Sunday was similar to Saturday. And let me just take a sip of coffee here. I was starting to think like, either this is going to go up or it's going to go down drastically. When I start seeing like these types of candles, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's going to go. It was feeling like the market felt like something was going to happen. It was either going to go up or go down, but it didn't feel like we were going to just do a straight line, right? It didn't feel like something like this was going to happen. So that's why you're watching the market carefully. But when the selling starts to happen, I'll go back to the 15-minute here. So the selling starts to happen, and then like what I do here is like you can use moving averages, or you can use like I have my own drawings and stuff. So I know like, and this is where like I think, and this is obviously from marks on previous candles, but this is where like I've identified like where volume is and where things can stop. And the other thing you can utilize is you can use like a liquidation heat maps, and you can look at this and you can like make guesses of where there's a lot of liquidity, where price will bounce. So you can use that. You can use your own lines. And if you get good at drawing these lines, typically you don't need to like utilize the liquidation heat maps and stuff like that for the time frames. But so really what I'm doing is like I have to like wait until like I wait for like a really big capitulation candle, like this is too soon. This is too soon. Usually you have like 3 steps down. You have 1, 2, and then you kind of have a third here. And I'm waiting for like a big capitulation candle, and you have a big one here, and then it's like it tries again, and then this candle right here just is like a complete drop. It just feels like a complete capitulation candle, and it feels like it in the present, or when it was happening. And then like there's a huge response, so like the selling it hits a point where there's a huge, like finally the price is cheap enough for the buyers to say, yes, we're going to buy this all up. And that is from active traders. It's also from a lot of limit orders that have been placed here. Like I said, like this is an area where there's a lot of liquidity. So like when you see this, this is when you get ready to buy. And this is a 15-minute. So like this happens, usually what you're going to have is you're going to have a retrace of close to 50% of this candle, of this like strong buying green candle. And that's where I buy. Okay? So what that allows you to do is it allows you to put a stop right at the bottom, you know, or right below the bottom or wherever. So you know what your risk is. And you have yeah. And so like that right there is the trade. So like I buy at 50%, I put a stop below the candle, and then I just hope it goes up, you know? And this is after all this, right? So if like this green candle got retraced immediately by a red candle, I wouldn't do it, right? Because it would have gone right through. So what I'm looking for is like this weird type of consolidation, right? Where there's all of a sudden there's back and forth. There's no back and forth and very little back and forth of price. Price, you know, it's not there. No one's exchange, like coins are being exchanged obviously, but they're not like battling over prices. Here there's like liquidity. There's people are arguing. You can think of it in different ways, but you can think of it as buyers and sellers arguing over what the right price is, and that's what I want. And so then it drops to 50%. I buy 50% of this candle. I buy, I have a stop, and then I ride that up. Now, the other thing is I didn't do this on Bitcoin. I did it on XRP. So like why? So like what I'm doing is I'm watching Bitcoin and XRP at the same time that this is happening. And so on XRP, I got in here. And then, so it's obviously not as at 50% as much, but like I got in here and then my stop was down here. And then I sold today, this morning, up here, okay? So like the whole point of this trade is to get out. And so that's a 13.8% return, which I think is pretty good for knife catching. And so like, why do you want to do it on XRP and not Bitcoin? Well, this has to do with like the crypto markets, right? Fundamentally in crypto, there's going to be a couple coins that are outperforming Bitcoin, obviously. And right now, that's XRP. So this is XRP BTC chart. And this is why, you know, and you can make a ton of arguments about whether this is done now or if it's going to go higher or whatever. But the reason why I wanted to buy XRP is because, and not Bitcoin, is because XRP is outperforming Bitcoin and most importantly, outperforming every other token, cryptocurrency token out there right now. And because because of how XRP's price action, I've been obviously watching XRP for the last month and I've missed most of the move. I'll just say that, you know. But like, the reason why I wanted to scalp this was because I expected some sort of price. Like, look how amazing this price action is. It's just up, and that's what you want, right? You don't want to accidentally buy a altcoin that you know comes up here and then dwindles sideways for like a while, right? You want it to go. You want to realize gains. So that's why I did XRP, and so I was thinking ahead or trying to predict that it would outperform Bitcoin on the way up, and it did in this case. And obviously these decisions aren't always black and white, but like right now the strongest coin in the market is XRP, whether people like it or not. And it's just the reality of the situation. So you need to know, if you're going to do this, you need to know what are the strong coins versus Bitcoin when this is going to happen, you know, because we had a panic sell-off, which is a buying opportunity. You need to know what to buy, which means you need to have like a list of things you're watching before this happens. Because otherwise you could just buy Bitcoin, and that would be fair. Like you could have done this, caught this, and maybe sold here or up here. But if you want to like optimize for making the most money possible, which is kind of why we're doing this, then this is what you would want to buy and what you'd want to catch. And so like I just want to walk through like how I thought about that and why and stuff like this. I also did this a week ago or whatever on ETH BTC, which I'll cover in another video. But talk about that trade. I think it's a little bit more complicated than this, but this is like something to have in your tool. And the other thing I just want to talk about this, is like I'm just talking about price here. But it's probably smart to just watch this type of waterfall off a cliff, I think of it, and just wait for those big green candles, and then you're gonna have to like wait for some sort of consolidation, and then you buy. That's probably the smartest thing to do. But the other thing you can do to help you figure out where these points are, where it's gonna catch, where the water is gonna stop, is you can look at Twitter sentiment. And like one of the reasons why I held XRP up until here this morning, Tuesday morning, was because you watch the sentiment on, like this is back to the NASDAQ, it bottomed at 550, and then the entire morning on CNBC, on Twitter, everybody was talking about how the market is falling like a rock. But it had already happened, right? Like at 8 a.m., the market is recovering. By 10:40 in the morning, things are already looking like the market has recovered significantly. Even by 2 o'clock, it starts to recover this drop here. And so it's all the way up here by the end of the day. So this is like the end of the day, Monday, and like the entire working day in finance was people talking about how the market was falling off the cliff. It had already happened. It was over. By the time people on Twitter write their threads, and by the time CNBC calls their contributors or whatever, and get people on the air to talk about how horrible things are and how the world is ending, which was the vibe. Like the vibe on CNBC was kind of crazy. It was like what crypto Twitter feels like sometimes. Crypto Twitter, kind of was disgusted by the price action, and in fairness, this Bitcoin price action was kind of scary when it happened. Like Sunday night, this kind of was scary to watch a little bit, but you just had to be calm and wait for it to end. But I don't know, like watching it in real time as I did, it's always kind of scary to watch. But TradFi was really yesterday all over the TV, the interwebs and everything else, really having a hard time mentally, And I think also that's because of the uncertainty, the whole context of the situation, uncertainty around Trump, and then the FOMC coming up Wednesday, and earnings, right? Earnings for tech earnings. We have tech earnings this week, tech earnings next week. So I think that's why there was that panic. But the important thing as a trader, we're focused on price. And so we got to be really careful. And I remind myself, I make these videos in part to remind myself of all these things that I'm talking about, It's like, you got to be really careful of price versus sentiment. Like you got to check price and not just like listen to what people are saying, because this was over by the time they were, this is the trading day, and they're talking about how everything was falling off a cliff. It was recovering by then, So you gotta be cautious, because you don't want to make decisions based off of them. You don't want to be like, oh my God, and then this is happening, right? So you gotta be cautious about like trying to think for yourself. And so anyway, that's what I want to share. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll get to them. And if you like what I do, leave me a like and subscribe. Thank you.